Hi everyone, I wanted to get some video of Miki doing a typical street walk and I thought I'd share it with you here. Miki is a reactive dog in that she will often bark and lunge at cars, traffic, dogs, people. It's been getting better but it's still not perfect. So in this walk I've kept in all the not so great bits for honesty and accountability. We don't do this very often, and you will soon see why this is really hard for her and me. And in training, I do not recommend purposely putting dogs in over threshold situations because it's not great learning. However, we have to do a little bit of exposure so we can teach Miki what we'd like her to do in these situations. I try my best to manage these as well as I can, but the real world is unpredictable and it often doesn't go how I would like. And this is what it looks like. So it's about 300 meters or a 5 minutes walk to the park. I've set this at 2 times speed because there actually isn't that much going on. She's very relaxed, not super bothered by the cars. I'm still stopping to check that she can look at them, eat treats, which I'm tossing for her to catch, which is fun for her, or tossing them on the ground for her to sniff. I'm doing a little bit of a detour around this house coming up now because there's a lady doing gardening in the front yard. Miki has no problem with her. You can see there's a tiny bit of pulling, but I'm not super concerned about that because that is not the biggest issue on these walks. I'm willing to live with a little bit of leash tension if she's generally otherwise managing well. So even though she seems really not concerned about the cars, I'm still taking the time to make sure to check in with her and see how she's feeling about them. There's some people across the road. You can see she's alerted to that, so we're going to stop while she processes that. And the cars going past as well. She tends to struggle more with bigger trucks and trailers and buses, so I have to be aware of that as we're walking too. You can see she's a little bit more tense and hypervigilant, but we're able to keep going without much issue. She looks pretty happy and relaxed. So here I figure I'll walk onto the grass a little bit to see if she wants to sniff in the grass. She thinks she'll just walk on the road, so we abandon that strategy, back on the footpath, not bothered by the car. Now we're at the park. I'm a little surprised and relieved at how easy that was. We move off to create a bit of space. Nothing at the park, so we decide to detour back towards the road. You can see now she's not quite so intent on scanning and is happy to sort of explore and sniff in the leaves. There's a nice little shake-off moment to de-stress, and you can see she's more actively exploring and sniffing and mooching around, which is exactly what I want and what I hope all walks will be like eventually, as opposed to the sort of monitoring of traffic that we usually see. So here we've now spotted a man riding his bike with a little Jack Russell, so we are fairly briskly creating some space so that we can watch them go by, ideally without any big reactions. This requires a bit of a judgment call, so I'm having to gauge how much room Miki might need or should need to be able to stay calm. So I've chosen this distance, and you can see she's spotted them now, redirecting to a scatter. There's also a car, which is adding to this, and now we're too close. She's barking and lunging. I create a little bit more space, but still not enough because she goes straight back. We're going to try again. I put her in a down, which is usually my go-to. We practice this a lot to help her switch out of that herding mode and get her brain back on. You can see that's still not enough. With a lot of reactive dogs, it would work better to just keep on moving and get them sniffing in the opposite direction, but that, for Miki, that often doesn't work because the movement increases that arousal and gets her wanting to herd more. Now the guy on the bike's gone, so we're just going to reset and keep going. Here we've moved further into the park, away from traffic, hopefully to where it's going to be quieter. She spotted a man walking down into the park. She's decided to put herself in a down to watch him, but she looks way too intense, so I'm trying to help her calm down enough and move away. But you can see this is really hard for her because we're getting trigger stacked. She's already activated from the bike and the dog before. Now she's backing and lunging at the man who has walked fairly far away. There he is. And so we're just very low-key moving away, little shake off there, and we're going to help her calm down. There you go, she's in a down. We're going to eat some treats and see if we can get her a little bit better regulated so that we can hopefully go home because this walk is done. Here we're trying to get back home. We have just spotted a dog walking across the road. She's already alerted. Can you see I'm having to really encourage her away, but she's able to do so on a loose leash. So I'm hoping this is far enough that we'll be able to watch. But you can see, oh no, way too close, so we're going to help her move. She can do so a little bit by herself, but it's hard. And you can see just how frantic she is, more barking and lunging, helping her move away. There we go, we've got her back with me. Still coming back for more. Now we're in a down to help her calm down again. So this is generally the process. You can see what's happening is we're just getting bigger and bigger escalations that are happening faster and faster. This whole trigger stacking effect often is a feature of walks with reactive dogs where things just start to snowball. So given the state that she's in and the fact that we've already had 3 big triggers in fairly close proximity, there's a very good chance that this walk back home is not going to be easy and nowhere near as beautiful as the walk on the way to the park, even though it's exactly the same location and probably the same amount of traffic. Her body is all activated and stressed out and aroused now, so I'm expecting that things are probably going to be a bit trickier. And the fun part is discovering just how tricky or easy, I guess, it's going to be. You may have noticed now she's on a double-ended lead with the front and back clip. I put this on as soon as I saw that dog coming because I knew we'd need that extra control on the way home. And it helps. There's a van going past, lost it. So whereas on the way in she didn't have any issues with the traffic, you can see now it's starting to get challenging, where things she didn't really care about before are now eliciting the same sort of big feelings she was having towards the people on bikes and stuff. So I'm having to be very proactive and on top of that in terms of keeping her busy and redirecting her to non-barking, lunging behaviours. Here we get a bit of a tangle. Yep, even professionals mishandle leashes. She's very sensitive about long lines and tangling, but we recover okay. So here she's really starting to lose the plot a little bit, even though I can redirect her, she's going back to barking and lunging a lot. So I decide to just pause. We're going to put her in a down just so we can work through these cars that are coming, ideally with less barking and lunging. So I'm restraining her by her harness so she can't bark and lunge. But it looks a little bit wonky, but it's minimal restraint I'm aiming for. I feel like she's calmed down a little bit, so we're going to keep moving on again. Oh, yeah, not ready. She barks at another car. I'm just trying to help calm her down enough that we can walk a bit more. And as we just approach up to this house, a very well-timed man and his dog pops around the corner. So I know she's not going to handle this, so I'm already in maximum damage control. I try to put her into a down, restraining her by a harness. She's still trying to have a go, so I'm going to just put her in control position, hold her by her harness and collar. She's not a fan of this, but this is the only way I can sort of let this guy go past without her freaking everyone out. So I'm just holding her and I'm just going to feed her, and you can see she's slowly settled. Obviously not voluntary, would not recommend this unless you absolutely have to. This is sort of my last resort and I want to get her out of there as quickly as I can. And so she's still barking and lunging. I'm just going to help her into that down again. Now I'm not having to hold her by a harness, but I'm using my body to block a little bit. When I feel like she's calmed down enough, I'll move out of the way so she can have a look. Her brain's somewhat back on, looking at the dog now. Redirect again to another sniff, and then I'm going to ask her to do a pause up on this fence here, just to get her to do something else. That's a little bit more stationary and settled and thoughtful. Got her back. Now we're going to try and get home. It's about 4 houses, and it feels like the longest distance. But you can see after that, she's actually fairly happy and relaxed. She's happily eating treats, body pretty loose. Now, get surprised by a truck coming out of the driveway. This is going to be really, really hard. I try to pause up. More cars coming. Again, just have to get through it at this stage.
Mickey's collar.
For some reason, trucks driving really slow past her just is one of the hardest things. So here there's some cars coming up. I've decided to just stop and I'm just going to feed her straight to mouth to keep her busy while they go past to minimise the chances of her parking and lunging, and that worked out okay. Now we're just trying to get home as quickly as we can, ideally without any more incidents. You can see she's a bit more relaxed now, is able to walk fairly nicely. She seems to recover well after these outbursts. Here I put her in a down preemptively. She seems to manage fine, but I hold her harness just in case because I don't trust her right now. No issues eating treats and leaving those cars alone. And we're almost done with the walk. So this walk took about 20 minutes, and though we didn't go very far, Mickey's exhausted and so am I, and we'll take the rest of the day to recover. This is why training walks aren't for fun. Our fun walks, we go places that are quieter and with more space so we can actually enjoy it.